Hello, hello, and welcome to our exciting webinar today. I am going to be talking about the power of copaiba. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me so that we can talk about the amazing benefits of this plant and ways that you can really leverage your own body's natural endocannabinoid system using the beautiful essential oil of copaiba. We're going to talk all about how you can use this essential oil to help improve everything from your immunity to your mood to your sleep, soothing any types of aches and pains, muscular discomfort, how you can use it to ease irritated digestive tract, your irritated digestive tract, and even help you to focus better. Now, you may be wondering, how can a single essential oil possibly have so many far-reaching effects on what seems like really different parts of the human body? I just touched on the emotional system, the musculoskeletal system, the digestive tract, the immune system, sleep, stress. Well, it all has to do with copaiba's ability to interface with and directly affect our body's endocannabinoid system, which really does carry out many physiological processes involved in maintaining balance, homeostasis for optimal human health. I know that a lot of people, I just want to get this out of the way. I know that a lot of people, when they hear the word endocannabinoid, they automatically start to think of cannabis. And while that plant has indeed led to the discovery of our body's own natural endocannabinoid system, it turns out that the cannabis plant is just one of the several plants discovered thus far in Mother Nature that offer therapeutic benefit to our own endocannabinoid system. And that's really where the copaiba can come in. So copaiba is its own plant. It's a tree, and it contains a phytochemical constituent called beta-caryophyllene, which has been heavily researched at this point. I'm going to share a lot of that with you today on how it directly interfaces with the endocannabinoid system to affect the brain, the organs, the glands, connective tissues, and immune cells within the body without having to worry about any of the psychoactive side effects that can take place with the cannabis plant. So know that the health benefits that we're talking about around copaiba, they're immense, and I'm so excited to dive in with you on them today. So make sure you grab a piece of paper, take some notes. I'm going to be sharing with you some of my very favorite copaiba combos as well, so that you can accentuate the overall holistic effect of copaiba on your body and making it so that you can start to feel better, have more energy, feel more mobile, be able to sleep better, so on and so forth. I'm going to talk about how you can use the copaiba on the endocannabinoid system, but other essential oils you can combo to yield almost like a greater effect by also having an effect on other body systems as well that might be contributing to some of your symptoms. So before we go any further, let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Melissa Esquera. That's my website right there, drmelissaesquera.com. I'm a doctor of chiropractic. I'm a functional medicine practitioner. I'm an essential oil wellness advocate, and I love living the natural lifestyle in this modern day tech crazy world that we live in. It's just this beautiful time where we get to access all these comfy, cozy benefits of modern day living, but we also need to and get to try to keep it as natural as possible when it comes to eating food that comes from the ground and giving our body the support that it needs coming from Mother Nature. So I have been in practice since 2009. I've had the honor and privilege of working with hundreds and hundreds of men and women on their hormonal system. Hormones, autoimmune thyroid, and autoimmune were indeed my big focuses in my clinical practice. I used to have a big clinical practice out in San Francisco and San Mateo. And then I just really got into educating people on how they could take the reins on their health. Like, I love being a natural practitioner. I love helping really dive deep and doing the homework and looking into the root cause with patients, of course. But what I love about the essential oils is that they empower you to take the reins. They give you access to high quality, natural plant solutions that can give you a chance to work on recalibrating your own health on your very own. My aim is to provide you with as much information as possible, and then you can get your hands on the clean, the pure, therapeutic grade natural solutions that can then help you make those physiological shifts. So today we are focusing on how you can use Copaiba to facilitate some of those positive physiological shifts and improve your overall health and vitality. Now, this is a medical disclaimer that it is important for me to share with you before we go any further. This website and webinar contains general information about medical conditions and treatments. The information is not intended as a specific medical advice and should not be treated as such. You must not rely on the information on this webinar as an alternative medical advice from your doctor or other healthcare practitioner. You should never delay seeking medical advice, disregard medical advice, or discontinue medical treatment because of the information on this website. We will in no way be held liable for the misuse or misapplication of any of the general lifestyle suggestions made on this website and webinar. You know what? Just make sure that you talk to your practicing physician to make sure that everything that you decide to adopt in terms of natural solutions makes sense for you and your own unique needs. So let's start out by talking about the endocannabinoid system. Before we can talk about the beauty of Copaiba, I think it's important to know what exactly is the system that we have inside of our bodies that Copaiba and the active component within Copaiba is going to be able to support and leverage, okay? So the endocannabinoid system is a self-regulating system within the body, and it helps to control or temper our natural physiological processes like immune response, pain response, even overstimulated neurological firing patterns can kind of be regulated by us activating, or our bodies naturally activating, or us activating with plant therapies, the endocannabinoid system. Now, the endocannabinoid system is just something that we want to be able to utilize, and our body does naturally do so, to help to restore balance within the body if it's been overstimulated. Okay, so for example, by external stressors, like if you've been sick and you're having a hard time kicking that sickness, maybe you need a little bit of support in bringing the body back to homeostasis, so your immune system can really make sure to work as effectively as possible. Same thing with like emotional disturbances, with too much stress. Maybe your nervous system has been overfiring its pain patterns for too long, and your body needs some extra support in normalizing that. Working on the endocannabinoid system can help you achieve that outcome. So it helps to regulate the brain, the organs, connective tissues, glands, and immune cells. And in each tissue, the cannabinoid system performs different tasks, but ultimately it's always working to do the same thing, which is bring your body back to homeostasis, aka balance. So if you're wondering, well, where is the endocannabinoid system? Like a lot of people, they're really familiar with where their digestive system is, or where their respiratory system is, or where even their endocrine system, their hormone system, their nervous system. Well, the endocannabinoid system is actually located throughout the body. It's in the brain, it's in the glands, it's in the connective tissues, it's in your immune cells. Okay, and within the endocannabinoid system, there are two major endocannabinoid receptors, which you're going to be hearing mostly about today, mostly about CB2. But CB1, which stands for cannabinoid, CB1 and CB2. Now, these aren't the only cannabinoid receptors, okay, but they were the first ones discovered and remain the most heavily studied and best understood thus far. The CB1 receptors are they're one of the most abundant of the two in the brain, although we do have CB2 receptors in the brain. But the CB1 is what the THC in the medical marijuana or cannabis plant goes ahead and reacts on interfaces with the CB1 receptor. Now today, we're not talking about THC. We're talking about a different chemical constituent in these cannabinoid plants, which I'll get into in a minute. And what we're really focusing on is a particular chemical constituent called beta-caryophyllene. And beta-caryophyllene does not interface with the CB1 receptor, it interfaces with the CB2. You could be rest assured that the beta-caryophyllene has no psychoactive components. to it. Okay. Now, of course, the THC and medical marijuana, and you can call it whatever you want, the cannabis plant. There's lots of beautiful medicinal benefits there, but I know for a lot of people, they're wanting to avoid having, interacting with the THC, not wanting the psychoactive components. And that's why I love that Copaiba is so readily available now, thanks to doTERRA. You can still get you can really leverage the endocannabinoid system without having to worry about having any of those psychoactive side effects. Okay. Now, the endocannabinoid, like I said, we're going to mostly talk about the CB2 receptor. The CB1 works primarily on the brain and the central nervous system. The CB2 receptor works primarily on the endocrine and the immune system. And we'll talk about what that really looks like in terms of signs and symptoms in just a minute. But know that the beta-caryophyllene works only on the CB2 receptor and not on the CB1 receptor. So let's talk a little bit about how the endocannabinoid system actually works in the body. Okay, there are really three components to the endocannabinoid system. The first is the cannabinoid receptors themselves. These cell receptor sites, they sit on the surface of the cells, essentially listening to the external environment. They kind of act like antennae, and they receive information from the external environment, and then they transmit information into the cell, telling the cell what's up, so that the cell can then turn around and kickstart the appropriate cellular response. Okay. Now the endocannabinoids, are what our body, that's the next piece. The endocannabinoids are what our body naturally produces. The prefix endo means inside. So these are our natural cannabinoids that our body makes on its very own. And they go and they activate the cannabinoid receptor site. So in this image with the key and the keyhole, you can think of the keyhole like the receptor site, and you can think of the key like the endocannabinoid. Okay, now we know that our body has two primary endocannabinoids that we know of. The first one is anandamide, and the second is 2-AG. Both of these endocannabinoids, they're made from fat-like molecules within the cell membrane, okay, and they're synthesized on demand. Now, once our body utilizes those endocannabinoids, that's when these third component of the endocannabinoid system comes in. That's the metabolic enzymes. So once our body utilizes those endocannabinoids, our metabolic enzymes then go in and break it down so that our system can go, release the brake essentially on the, release the gas on the endocannabinoid system activity, and things kind of go back to normal prior to having the endocannabinoid system activated. Now, this is a natural regulating system that goes on in our body. This is a great example. So you can see the top image on the left. They call it the homeostasis zone, which is really our balance zone. You can see these purple neurons here. Everything's looking nice and pretty and evened out. But the image on the right shows those red rings meant to signify, excessive firing. Now, this could be a scenario with somebody that's been experiencing chronic pain. When chronic pain has been going on for a long time, we see often the chronic overreactivity of the pain nerve firing patterns getting overstimulated. And this can make it really difficult for people who've been experiencing discomfort for a long, long time to start to be able to experience relief long term. And so that's where us being able to leverage the endocannabinoid system beyond what it's doing just physiologically could potentially go in and break up that chronic excessive firing pattern so that the body can go back to experiencing homeostasis and then be more open to long-term healing. And that's really the beauty of us knowing and understanding how the endocannabinoid system works, what our body does naturally, and how we can introduce some support to the endocannabinoid system when our body isn't doing such a good job managing it on its own. And so you can see here, there's an image of our endocannabinoids, the anandamide and the 2-AG, and then an example of one of the plant cannabinoids that are very popular, which is THC. Now, I can't stress enough how we are not talking about THC. The beta-caryophyllene, which is the active component in the Copaiba oil, has 0 psychoactive side effects. I want everybody to know that. I've gotten so many questions about it and people are confused. I just want to be very clear. This chart does break this down a little bit further. So these are the 3 really popular cannabinoid properties that we can get from plants that once we introduce into the body, they can have an effect on our natural endocannabinoid system. So there's CBD, which is very popular as well. CBD, depending on the strain and the plant and the sourcing and all of that, can be present in low amounts in things like cannabis, and in hemp, just depending on the plant and the sourcing. It does not directly affect the CB receptors, neither CB1 nor CB2. However, CBD oil does have phenomenal effects on the endocannabinoid system. I've been able to meet and chat with so many people that have had life-changing results introducing CBD oil into their life, and it's such a beautiful thing about Mother Nature. Now, the THC, that would be coming from the cannabis plant, medical marijuana. So that does interact with the CB1 and the CB2 receptor. It does stimulate psychoactive effects, and oil containing THC is a regulatory and legal challenge for a lot of people to get their hands on. Not to mention, there's just a large population of individuals that are looking for something where they don't have a psychoactive side effect, especially for, you know, the younger community, especially young adults, children, babies, even the geriatric community, and everybody in between. Okay, so I know that there is a lot of people looking for alternatives to that, and that's really where the beta-carophylline comes in. Okay, so there's no CB1 interaction there. Same benefits as other cannabinoids. There's direct CB2, direct interaction, and there are therapeutic amounts present. In fact, high amounts of therapeutic amounts present in this particular plant, the copaiba plant. So what I love about doTERRA sourcing, if you're if you're a plant nerd like me, is I loved seeing that they went ahead and they sourced from a couple of different types of the Copaifera plant. We have the reticulata, the officinalis, the coriacea, and the Langsdorffii. I'm never sure if I pronounce all of those correctly, but what's neat about having that combination is we're able to yield about a 50 to 60% ratio of the beta-carophylline in the copaiba essential oil that doTERRA has. It really is a unique experience. It is a unique type of copaiba essential oil because of the potency there. And I'll say, you know, I have had both clients and family use all three of those beautiful plant endocannabinoids, and everybody's been able to experience improvement in their life. This is simply an alternative for you. If you're using one, but you want to try something different, maybe you've been wanting to work on leveraging your endocannabinoid system for better health experiences, and you've been a little leery about CBD or medical marijuana, this is a good place for you to start. And I just invite you to be open-minded and just kind of look into the alternatives. We're all wanting to really have the same effect on one another, which is to be positive and uplift one another and help each other feel better. So there's no necessarily quote unquote camp on CBD, THC, or beta-carophylline. But I have a Facebook post that's unfortunately fortunately gotten a ton of positive feedback and just a few negative feedbacks. And I just want to say, it doesn't matter which one you use as long as you're getting positive benefits. Same thing with any natural solution, whether it's essential oils, herbs, supplements, whatever your body is being able to utilize in the natural to start to feel better. And I think we're all in the same camp in that way. So, but again, today we're talking about beta-carophylline. So the properties of the way in which it works physiologically is anti-inflammatory, and it can act as in an immune supportive way, has antibiotic properties, anti-carcinogenic properties, and local anesthetic activities. I literally took these qualities straight from a Journal of Pharmacology article, and you can see the source right here. And I just love, again, I just love the way that you can use something so cost effective, so easy to get into your body. And the beautiful thing about Copaiba that I'm going to talk about is a quick way to use it is to put a couple of drops under your tongue. You can also do a couple of drops between your hands, rub your hands together, bring it up to your nose and take a big inhale in. The aromatic benefits are phenomenal, but then also the topical benefits are going to be great as well. Like if you're having an overreactive inflammatory response, maybe around your knee, or or maybe your body has stopped having proper cellular communication somewhere in your system, you could apply it topically wherever that is and get that oil straight into the system. And that's the beauty of having an essential oil. You could experience it either internally, topically, and internally, topically, and aromatically. Not all essential oils are safe for internal consumption. I just want to know this one is, this in particular one is, just so for your own reference. Now we're going to talk about how Copaiba is going to work on the endocrine system because of the CB2 interaction with the CB2 receptor site to yield a calming response, helps to support with sleep, help to support relaxing and really tonifying the body. And then also the big effects on the immune system. Now the immune system is where a lot of the research, if you go onto pubmed.gov, has been done looking into beta-caryophyllene and even Copaiba oil resin specifically on how it interfaces with the immune system. And I'm going to be sharing with you quite a bit of studies that have been done in hopes that you can better understand how the beta-caryophyllene and even the Copaiba oil resin, which has beta-caryophyllene in it, works on more of a mechanistic level. Okay, so I'm going to start by talking about how it can support your body when it's dealing with microbes and maybe some type of foreign invader. Okay, now when we say immune system, we often think about our bodies fighting off bugs. Okay, yes, we're going to talk about that first, of course, but know this. Know that the immune system also means the inflammatory response, all right? The inflammatory response is about really like taking, the inflammatory response can take place both in like the musculoskeletal system, which we'll touch on, but you'll also be able to see the unique inflammatory response that happens in the nervous system. And what's so cool about some of the research I'm going to show you is modern day science and researchers, they're looking at the mechanism in which the beta-caryophyllene or the Copaiba oil resin is interfacing with these pro-inflammatory reactions of the immune system. And it's freaking amazing. I just love that. I love that that science is thinking in this terms right now, looking at the natural and how does it work physiologically. Okay. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about, how you can use this stuff to promote healthy cell death and also to support those individuals that deal with autoimmune disorder. Okay, so this first study comes from the Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine Journal here. And this is talking about how BCP, beta-caryophyllene, can help support a body that's dealing with any type of like mouth irritation, which I'm sure you might notice comes up if you've had past exposure to infections that can cause mouth sores. And what you can also know too is that BCP, especially Copaiba itself, is really supportive of healthy immune response within the respiratory tract. So if you find yourself getting like a sniffly nose, or you notice your immune system is starting to be worn down, you notice a cold sore pop up or anything like that in your mouth, Copaiba has been looked into in terms of its effectiveness over those types of pathogenic assaults. And so you can use the Copaiba directly over the mouth sore. You could apply it right over the chest. You can also use it over your throat if you feel like your throat's getting sore because of the way that it can bring down inflammation. Now, I promised to share with you some of my favorite Copaiba combos. And so if you're dealing with, in your face immune support need, if you're dealing with, the sniffly nose, the sore throat, you feel like something's coming on, you can use a blend. It's called a protective blend. In doTERRA, it's called On Guard blend. And combo that with Copaiba. Remember, I told you that my Copaiba combos are going to show you how you can utilize
and leverage the endocannabinoid system using the copaiba oil when dealing with in this example, the immune system. But also if you can combo it with other oils that support, in this case, the immune system in other ways to help your body be stronger in attacking that particular issue, like an infection, for example, then you're going to get a lot faster response with your body's natural healing capacity. And so if you're not feeling well, feeling under the weather, you can take On Guard blend, take copaiba. You can apply both over your throat. You could even do both in a tea. You could do a couple drops of each under your tongue. For me, I love On Guard in a little bit of hot water and honey if my throat is starting to bother me. Now, you can also use melaleuca and copaiba to support dental and oral health. So if you have any of those, sores or discomfort things popping up on the, lining of the mouth, you can apply the melaleuca right then and there. Same thing with the copaiba. The copaiba to help to modulate a healthy inflammatory response, and then the melaleuca to support your immune system in going after some of that stuff. And then the copaiba was in the study shown to help your body go after specific types of microbial challenges. Melaleuca actually is one oil in particular that's been heavily studied in the world of oral health. And so I love recommending that for dental and gum health, because that is such a big part of holistic health in general. Now, you can also support healthy airways and breathing, especially here in the Bay Area. If you're a Bay Area resident, we've got a lot of pollution going on right now. You could do the copaiba and then thyme and rosemary right over your chest, or if you have doTERRA blends, you could do copaiba and our blend breathe, which is fantastic. You could do a combination of both right over the lungs, but also take the time to rub a couple of drops between your hands, bring it up to your mouth, and then inhale deep. And that way you can get some of those chemical constituents straight into the respiratory tract to support a healthy immune response. Now, the second aspect of the immune system that we're going to look into is how we can work on the immune system in a way that's going to soothe musculoskeletal discomfort. Now, chronic pain is, it's a debilitating disease characterized most of the time by inflammatory processes underlying the primary issue at hand, right? So if you've got like arthritis, you've got chronic inflammatory stuff going on. Osteoarthritis, same thing. Even tendinitis, all those itises mean inflammation and irritation. And the biggest problem, I think, long-term in handling some of this long-standing discomfort is those neural pathways. They can get overactivated, overstimulated, and then it starts to deplete your natural endocannabinoid system. And because the overfiring pattern is so thick and dense, it's hard for us to be able to break it up naturally. So that's why people who take pain meds, even though they're bringing down inflammation by blocking inflammation essentially with non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, once you take those away, the inflammation bursts back up. Now, unfortunately with first-line pharmacological treatments, like opioids or NSAIDs or anything like that, there's a lot of negative side effects to that long term, and there really is a need for medicine to start looking at some more natural alternatives that can curtail some of these side effects and also be able to improve the quality of life for a lot of patients dealing with this stuff. And essential oils, they have been researched in this area. It's a really beautiful thing, and I can't wait for what's accessible in terms of, frontline care to start to shift to some of this stuff. This is where a lot of the research is being focused on nowadays. It's a very cool thing. We can see how essential oils can offer a lot of hope for those dealing with, things like fibromyalgia, low back pain, musculoskeletal disorders, chronic inflammatory disorders. This particular study talks about how you can use beta-caryophyllene to experience, for people to be able to experience an improvement in their symptoms, And also another bad side effect about not dealing with these chronic inflammatory disorders is when our body's experiencing chronic inflammation over a long period of time, it starts to deplete our natural serotonin. That can cause side effects like, depression, even anxiety, insomnia, chronic fatigue. We can see metabolic disturbances start to happen with chronic inflammation going on for too long, like diabetes and so on and so forth. And so it's important that we do something proactive around bringing down the inflammation in those dealing with these chronic musculoskeletal issues. And this particular study, this one comes out of the Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine Journal, talks about how beta caryophyllene has these positive benefits on those individuals dealing with chronic pain patterns. Now, this next study talks about the anti-arthritic and the anti-inflammatory activity of beta caryophyllene. And what they did is I don't agree with animal testing at all, by the way, but I definitely don't like it. But this study, this particular study performed a study on rats. And what they were doing is they were looking to see what would happen when they administered beta caryophyllene with rats that were induced with, arthritis. And what was really interesting to see is after they did a histopathology and a radiology analysis after the treatment on the rats, they were able to see major decrease in inflammation and swelling. Now that is a big deal, you guys, because not only is it difficult for people with arthritis to be able to experience long-term relief, but to be able to get the swelling down, that really means that on some level, there's tissue repair going on. And I think that that's, for many, many people, that offers a lot of promise. And and then the third study I'm sharing with you today on musculoskeletal support is how beta caryophyllene promotes osteoblastic mineralization and also suppresses osteoclastogenesis and adipogenesis in mouse bone marrow cultures. Now, you guys, that just means that beta caryophyllene was shown to help promote bone repair. Now, I'm sure you're maybe thinking, like, when would I need bone repair besides having a bone break? But if you have chronic inflammatory issues and you need bone support, you might be dealing with osteopenia, osteoarthritis, even full-on osteoporosis. And this study talks about how beta caryophyllene may be offering some therapeutic benefit in supporting the body in what it's meant to do, which is to be able to come back to a state of homeostasis, repair and regenerate. Your body is smart, and sometimes it just needs a little bit of support in something that it might be lacking. This study comes from the, let's see, where is this? Okay, I think that my sound just cut off, but I'm going to keep going. So here is some of my Copaiba combos I wanted to share with you in terms of how you can support the musculoskeletal system. There's Copaiba and Deep Blue. So the Copaiba is going to go in. It's going to work on helping the system to bring inflammation down. It's going to help you leverage the endocannabinoid system so that you can help to break up some of those chronic, long-term neurological firing patterns that might be consistently triggering pain. And then you have the Deep Blue that you can bring in, which has a natural source of camphor oil and wintergreen oil, both of which are known to have very, really effective analgesic benefits or soothing benefits to discomfort that you might be experiencing. Now, if you have ligamentous issues, so the Copaiba and the Deep Blue combo, just a tip, it's better for like muscle or tendon discomfort. If you have ligament discomfort, then you might want to bring in the lemongrass, because lemongrass, it's a nice hot oil and it makes it easier to get into the ligaments in the system, which are not they don't have as much vascular in there, so it's a little bit more difficult to heal ligament issues. So that trio makes a lot of sense for you if you've got ligament stuff. And then if you have bone challenges, you could be doing Copaiba, like for that reason we talked about in the last study, but you could also bring in some cypress. Cypress helps with supporting healthy circulation into bones. Sometimes when you're experiencing bone challenges like osteoporosis and osteopenia, it may be that your body's been having difficulty delivering proper nutrition to the bones. And so the cypress helps with that delivery system, improving healthy blood flow. And then also you could incorporate helichrysum, which is another essential oil that's been shown to help promote healthy osteoblastic activity. And all that can be applied topically. especially if you're going after an area of discomfort. The only thing in here I would say out of those combos to use internally would be the copaiba for musculoskeletal support. Now, we're going to next talk about immune support and how you can leverage supporting the immune system, within the endocannabinoid system to yield a healthy response in the neurological system. So beta-caryophyllene has been shown in this very exciting study to improve Alzheimer's dementia symptoms by activating the CB2 receptor site. Now, this, I think, is a very, very interesting study for many of us to pay attention to because dementia has become so prevalent nowadays. We're seeing it happen in a large population of our elderly community, and it's actually happening younger and younger and younger, which is something I'm sure you are wanting to be proactive about if you've started to notice maybe some memory challenges, whether it's in yourself or a loved one in your family. Now, this might offer maybe some hope in ways that you can be proactive around supporting a healthy neurological system. So this study actually talks about how the beta-caryophyllene was able to demonstrate anti-inflammatory support by activating the CB2 receptor site, and how also the results were I think, extremely encouraging. And I think that this study, we're not saying this is a cure by any means for Alzheimer's dementia, not even close, but this study, I think, is going to perpetuate many more studies to follow in science and in the world of pharmacology, because there's been so much promise that's shown here with beta-caryophyllene and its ability to yield a positive effect on those people dealing with Alzheimer's. So a quote from this study is, this positive cognitive effect, beta-caryophyllene given orally prevented cognitive impairment, and this positive cognitive effect was associated with reduced beta amyloid burden in both the hippocampus and the cerebral cortex. You guys, that's big. Moreover, beta-caryophyllene reduced astrogliosis and microglial activation, as well as the levels of all this stuff listed, which is just basically pro-inflammatory cytokines and interleukin-1 beta in the cerebral cortex. So you guys, all that's just to say, let me just sum that up for you, that they were able to find beta-caryophyllene was able to possibly reduce some of the plaque, improve the cognitive responsiveness of the Alzheimer's dementia rats in this case, and also be able to kind of slow some of those factors that are going to contribute to the development of Alzheimer's dementias, like the pro-inflammatory cytokines. Now, in the second study, this one's published by the Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine Journal. Rats, let's see, is this the right one? Okay. Now this one talks about how copaiba copaiba oil resin was able to yield neuroprotective results with animals that were, had neurotrauma. Okay. So this one talks about how, hang on. I hope you guys can see that one. You can see this picture here. So in this particular study, they took these animals that, they had caused, I know, I hate animal treatment. I hate animal studies, I know, but the information here is really valuable. So they took a group of animals and they basically administered it with a neurotoxin, okay? And then they treated a group with copaiba oil resin for 3 days, and they went to go see, they checked to see what happened. They did a comparison. Now, the group that was treated with the copaiba oil resin, they were able to see neuroprotection and also less neuroprotection, less damage to the brain. And they were also able to see that the inflammatory markers were lower compared to the group that wasn't treated. Now, I think that that's amazing, because one of the things that we have to be concerned about with brain trauma is the long lasting effects and actually reoccurring effects of the immune system on the area that's been damaged. So this is significant if you have family members that are playing in contact sports or have been in a car accident with head trauma. So my husband is somebody that he used to be a professional cage fighter. He's retired now. That guy, we have to worry about making sure that we are supporting healthy brain tissue. He continues to, train and roll jujitsu. He doesn't spar as much anymore, but if he does, we definitely are proactive about that. Before Copaiba, we were using frankincense to support healthy brain and keeping inflammation down in the nervous system. But now we have Copaiba. If you have kids that play contact sports, you could do a couple of drops on the back of their neck, up there by the top part of the neck, kind of like at the base of the skull, to support their body and their brain and being protected after being in a game or having had a I would say even practice if they're practicing tackling. You could just make it part of your day-to-day regimen, and it's also going to help keep that inflammatory response regulated rather than getting out of control, which is really easy to have happen with brain trauma. Now, with that being said, we talked about how that particular study, they had elicited brain trauma by injecting the animals with a neurotoxin. Okay, now you don't actually have to go out and have brain damage to be exposed to neurotoxins anymore. Well, ever really, but nowadays we're exposed to a lot of neurotoxins, like in our processed food supply, even in like the external environment, unfortunately. Things like food coloring, processed grains, they're full of pesticides, herbicides, full of chemicals that can act as neurotoxins. And in fact, these are some of the things that make it difficult for us to focus and to be productive during our day. These neurotoxins, they can create an environment in the gut which is where about 70% of your neurotransmitters live. They can create an environment in the gut that eats up serotonin, which can affect mood, but also can make it difficult for your system to be able to create proper amounts of acetylcholine. Okay, when you've got a lot of neurotoxins going on in your system, whether you've inhaled it through your airways or gotten it in through your gut, we know that can affect your focus because you've got too much inflammation going on around your brain, and it's affecting your body's ability to create and utilize proper amounts of acetylcholine, which helps you focus and to be productive. So it would make sense then that you can use something like Copaiba to keep that whole nervous system protected from some of those neurotoxins, keep the inflammation down so that your body's natural capacity to focus can then be elevated a little bit. Now I'm going to talk to you about some power combos too that you can bring the Copaiba in for. Also another way that this is going to help with focus and productivity is we know that Copaiba can elicit a calming response in a stressed out body. And when our body is too stressed out, we release too much cortisol. That cortisol messes at the part of the brain, actually floods the part of the brain responsible for short-term memory. That's the hippocampus. And so if Copaiba can come in, cause a relaxation response, helping our body to naturally bring down cortisol by bringing in a state of calmness to our system, then our hippocampus is free and available to be able to, process those short-term memory, like word recall and things like that, with ease. So let me share with you some of these Copaiba combos for neurological support. So since we were just talking about focus, I would say the power combo could be Copaiba and Intune. You could do a drop of Copaiba or two underneath your tongue, roll that Intune on the bottoms of your feet or behind your neck. If you've got kiddos at home and they're coming home from home for homework, they're having a hard time focusing, you could put a couple of drops of Copaiba, peppermint, and wild orange in the diffuser. Going to smell really good in your home. They're going to be able to receive those aromatic benefits, and it's going to help them be able to focus as well. Now, if you've got neurological trauma and you're wanting to really work on protecting the brain, then I would say the top two combos are going to be great for you. So the Copaiba and the frankincense would be powerful. You could do both of those under the tongue, or you could do the Copaiba and the DDR prime. You could do both of them on the back of the neck, or you could do the DDR prime down the neck or down the spine, and the Copaiba under the tongue, whatever works for you. And again, I'm going to share with you how you can get some of those combos for free at the end of this, okay? Now, finally, we're going to talk about how we can use and leverage the endocannabinoid system with copaiba, aka beta-caryophyllene, since that's the most active chemical component that we know to affect the endocannabinoid system right now in the copaiba, and how it can support the autoimmune system, a body dealing with autoimmunity, and also support healthy cell death. Now, healthy cell death is very, very important for our body's vitality and longevity. Cells, they're meant to they're meant to come to life, do their thing, and then they're meant to die, okay, after a while. It's a healthy process. When they don't die off when they're supposed to, that's when we start to see, improper cellular communication going on, improper cellular growth, and then we start to see lumps and bumps and things that we don't want to see in our body. And so if for some reason the body is having a hard time, dealing with apoptosis or natural cell death, your immune system is the natural backup system for that, okay? Your immune system is meant to go in and handle it, clean it up, kill off that cell for you. But if you need a little bit of extra support in that, then there's been some studies that have been done on beta-caryophyllene proving and showing the anti-cancer activity of beta-caryophyllene. So this is a great study. It comes out of the Journal of Pharmacology. You can read up a little bit about that as well. And then in this second study, they did this study specifically using the Copaifera plant, which is copaiba essential oil, which is where the copaiba essential oil comes from. So again, they used the copaiba oil resin, and they were able to find, the results showed that copaiba oil resin and its fractions have they call it tumoricidal activity on some of those, unhealthy cells. So that means that they're able to, the copaiba oil resin was able to induce your immune system's natural capacity to go after some of those cells that were not dying off like they were supposed to. Now, in terms of autoimmunity, which honestly could be a little talk in and of itself, to be honest, when we go after autoimmunity, and autoimmunity can be very complex. But one of the first two things you want to do with an autoimmune case is go in and take a fire extinguisher to the body, lower that inflammation as quickly as possible, because that inflammation is just perpetuating that autoimmune response. And so you go in and you lower inflammation. We were talking already about how copaiba has the capacity to lower inflammation in the body, in the nervous system, but also elsewhere in the body. And so you can apply, if you've got like autoimmune thyroid, putting copaiba right over the thyroid may help your system be able to better manage inflammation. And then also, of course, you're going to want to handle any type of immune challenge that might be present. So you'll have to do that with other essential oils, of course, once you identify what those immune triggers are, whether it be, heavy metal toxicity, chemical toxicity, maybe like chronic viral, bacterial, parasitic, fungal challenges, so on and so forth. This study is a great example of how the beta-caryophyllene was able to go in and have a positive effect on an autoimmune-like issue like colitis. Irritable bowel disease kind of like encompasses colitis and Crohn's. Now, colitis is not technically an autoimmune issue, but it's autoimmune in nature. It's similar, and so we often support that type of condition in functional medicine in a similar way. We go in and we want to lower the inflammation, take a fire extinguisher to that area, and then start to induce some of the natural nutritional healing properties in food to help your body be able to restore a healthy immune response. So in this particular study, it talks about it talks about how beta-caryophyllene was able to reduce the disease activity, and then also be able to improve both macro and microscopic damage that was done in the colon, that was seen in the colon for this particular research study. So beautiful things are being found as well with supporting those that are dealing with autoimmune issues. Now, this is something that you can do to some power combos for autoimmune support. There's copaiba and digestin. So if you do have digestive challenges going on in the gut, you can bring in the Copaiba and then also bring in Digest Zen. Copaiba to work on the endocannabinoid system, Digest Zen to support a healthy internal digestive environment, to soothe the smooth muscle lining of the digestive tract, all to promote healthy digestion. Now, you can also use Copaiba in wild orange if you're dealing with an autoimmune challenge. The Copaiba to support bringing inflammation down, the wild orange to support healthy pH balancing. Also with autoimmunity, it's important you're always looking at the digestive tract, even if you don't have an autoimmune issue that's central to the digestive tract, because 70% of the immune system does live in the gut. So it's a good idea to do these things just to support the any type of autoimmune body in helping your immune system be able to come back to a more balanced state. So wild orange to, support healthy pH, Copaiba to do all those things that we've been talking about. And then you can also use Copaiba and frankincense over wherever it is that your body is having an autoimmune response. Frankincense to help support healthy tissue protection, Copaiba to help support tissue protection, and also to support healthy inflammatory responses rather than overreactive inflammatory responses. And then because I do have a big heart for the autoimmune community, and I've worked with so many, I also like to just mention, nutritional support is really important too. Things like bone broth, collagen, you can bring in turmeric. All those things are going to be really beneficial for your own natural immune system too. And before I wrap up, I just want to talk to you about how you can use that Copaiba to also get your body to have a more balanced endocrine system. That would be you might need that if you deal with anxiousness, with sadness, you deal with stress challenges, and you just need more support in relaxing during your day. So there's this fabulous study that did talk about how beta carothylene was tested using against with those dealing with anxiousness and depression-like symptoms, and it did show beta carothylene displayed anti-anxiety-like effects. It also helped to lift mood, and also I just think that if you're dealing with sleep challenges and you've tried a lot of different things, you could try a couple of drops of Copaiba under your tongue. My mom is somebody that's always been a light sleeper, and it's been getting worse and worse for her year after year after year. And I recently introduced the Copaiba to her, and she loves it. Like, she talks about it all the time because she can't believe how much better her sleep has gotten using a couple of drops of Copaiba under her tongue every night. And she's also got this this discomfort in her hip and her low back. She's been doing the deep blue rub. That's one of the Copaiba combos I talked about with the musculoskeletal system. We did Copaiba and deep blue. So she does the Copaiba right over the area of discomfort. She can't believe that she can sleep through the night. She used to wake up in discomfort. She doesn't anymore. She doesn't wake up tired. It's really changed her experience, and my husband as well. With him, his sleep issues he's somebody who has a hard time turning his brain off at night, or he can fall asleep, but then he wakes up at like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 a.m., poor guy. And so what we ended up having to use with him was we used some of the CBD chocolates to help him go to sleep. He did not like the way it made him feel the next day. He said that he felt really drowsy. He just didn't like it. And so while he was able to get good sleep, he didn't like some of the residual effects of that. So when we were introduced to Copaiba, he started using it immediately and felt immediate results. It's something that he's been using every single evening. It's something that I use. I suffer from anxiousness big time. And so I'll share with you one of my Copaiba combos right here. It's actually inspired by yours truly, because I've been able to really benefit from the Copaiba combo with Copaiba and peace. That combo has been so great for me, soothing feelings of anxiousness. Now, you can also do Copaiba and balance, just depends on your preference. That is also like a grounding blend. Peace is like a comforting blend. Now, if you deal with feelings of sadness, you could take Copaiba under your tongue and then use Citrus Bliss either topically or aromatically to help uplift your mood. So you have the Copaiba working on the endocannabinoid system, and then you have the Citrus Bliss working directly on the endocrine system. And then you have Copaiba and lavender. You can also use Serenity if you deal with like chronic stress patterns. Those two together are going to help to calm your body, calm that endocrine system. As you inhale both, you're going to have a direct effect on the part of the brain that talks to your hormone system, helping to elicit a more calming trigger rather than a stressful trigger. And then if you deal with sleep challenges, a cool Copaiba combo is Copaiba under the tongue, vetiver on the wrists, and also making sure that you smell that combo together too. That is a really awesome nighttime combo that I'm using. My husband just does the Copaiba at night. And then you could also do Copaiba, Balance, and cedarwood. So I would say the Balance and cedarwood combo with the Copaiba, or the Copaiba and vetiver, would definitely be a power combo if you have a lot of mental chatter at night. Those two help to really lock that down and help you really to be able to go to sleep. All right, so let me talk to you about how to get your Copaiba. Copaiba is something you can access now with doTERRA. So if you have your own wholesale account with doTERRA, go for it. You've got a discount on it. It's fantastic. You can order it on your own. I love talking about doTERRA oils because I get to give you the knowledge, and then you get to go ahead and access that stuff on your own and really start to take the reins on your own natural health improvement program. Now, if you don't have a doTERRA account and you want one, please make sure that you get together with the person that invited you to this webinar. Now, if you got to this webinar because you follow me on my social media platforms, or you're on my email list, or I invited you, you're going to want to go ahead and go to this affiliate link so that you can get your own wholesale account and get the Copaiba at a discount. Copaiba essential oil, you guys, it's really affordable. And if you are enrolling with me because, again, you found out about this webinar from me directly, if somebody invited you, please make sure that you go ahead and get your wholesale account with them. This is my doTERRA affiliate link. So if you go ahead and go to this link, you can go ahead and get access. And then what I'm doing this month is I'm giving people who get started with their doTERRA account with a minimum order of 100 PV, they actually get I think what is considered a Copaiba combo power pack. So the Copaiba itself is it's $35 with a wholesale account. If you need help creating your own customized order to get your enrollment order, your getting started order to be over 100 PV, you can drop me a message on any of my social media channels, or you can send me an email. I'll share my contact info with you on the next page. But I can help you customize a kit, or you can do it on your own, where your first order is 100 PV, and then you get all these goodies for free. So remember we talked about how you can use the Copaiba oil to leverage your endocannabinoid system. And then you can use other essential oils to accentuate other systems that contribute to your symptom, and therefore be able to improve your symptom much faster. So I'm gifting a little deep blue sample pack. That would be for the musculoskeletal support. A lavender to help deal with stress in combination with Copaiba. Balance to help deal with anxiousness in combination with Copaiba. Wild orange to help detoxify and improve that internal environment of the digestive tract along with Copaiba. Copaiba and breathe. I'm giving you a little sample of the breathe to support healthy respiratory, healthy breathing, healthy lungs, healthy sinuses, On Guard, healthy immune system along with Copaiba. Cheer to help accentuate feelings of happiness along with Copaiba. And finally, I'm gifting anybody that enrolls with me this month with a 100 PV order a sample of the coveted rose essential oil. And that's going to be to help support the body dealing with immune challenges. And also, rose oil is really great for people dealing with hormonal imbalance as well. You get this awesome and really high value starter combo pack, in addition to anybody starting with a 100 PV order. So I can talk to you more about wholesale access on any of these social media channels, or if you want to go ahead and click that link and get started, you can get started with a wholesale account and order a la carte. doTERRA is set up a lot like Costco. You can pay $35 and have wholesale access and put together a la carte or customized order just for you. And then when your order is 100 PV, which you can do all the additions in your checkout cart, then you get that free gift pack from me. And again, if you want some support around that, you want to get on the phone with me and help figure out your customized kit, if you're going to be enrolling with my affiliate link, myself or my assistant, we're more than happy to get on the phone with you and really help you tailor that kit to your own unique needs. Again, if somebody else invited you to this, please make sure that you get back to them and you get started with them instead, though. And just so that we can stay connected in the future, these are some of my social media platforms: facebook.com/Dr. Melissa Esquera, Instagram.com/Dr. Melissa Esquera. This is the way that you can contact me directly, drmelissaesquera@gmail.com. And you can also check out my website and get tons of free stuff over there at drmelissaesquera.com. Thank you so much for joining me here today, talking about the power of Copaiba and how you can really leverage it to get the most out of your endocannabinoid system so that you can feel healthy and full of vitality and live the quality of life that you were really meant to experience. I'm Dr. Melissa Esquera, and thank you so much for joining me. Until next time.